Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino, and we are back with a preview of the Challenge USA Season 2. Here we go. We are back with a new bunch of CBS alumni and some familiar faces from the world of the Challenge. And they are kicking off another season on CBS on Thursday night, August 10th. And so here with us to talk about it all, we have the co-hosts of the Challenge RHAP, who will be having all of the coverage here on RHAP. Allie and Brian are here. Allie and Brian, welcome.
The Brian co-host.
Yes.
Sorry, just a sampling of what's available at on our podcast.
Can you
Great jokes like that?
We are headed towards, I believe next summer will be the 10-year anniversary of the Challenge RHAP.
Wow, time flies.
They said it couldn't be done.
They said it couldn't be done. Isn't that amazing?
Our kid is going to middle school. This is incredible.
This is incredible. Yes. So that who would have thought, Allie, that back 9 years ago, that one day you'd be getting ready to talk about your second season of the Challenge with a bunch of people from Amazing Race and Survivor and Big Brother.
I could be abducted by aliens and this would still be the most surreal experience of my life. Both the 10 years of podcasting and that a smattering of sort of pseudo-connected people are going to be doing a challenge season on CBS that we have no information about. Can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to try to make sense of whatever format and whatever grouping will be thrown at us. I'm excited though. It's been the longest challenge Yaddis I think Brian and I have had in several seasons.
Yeah, they started throwing all these seasons at you both on Paramount Plus. What's going on lately, Brian? What's the last challenge that was on?
The last challenge was Challenge Season 38, a regular one on MTV. They already filmed the other Paramount Plus version, Challenge All Stars 4, before this filmed. That's now just like collecting dust in the Paramount Plus library, ready to be released at some point. And I think they're currently filming or about to film season 39 as well. So there's multiple things going on at once at all times in the challenge world.
Okay, but the Challenge USA 2 is back, and are you all hyped up for this? Like, do you like these more than the regular challenge?
Nothing went wrong in USA season 1, so this is going to go splendidly. I'm sure the finale is going to be perfect.
Like there was a lot of hype last summer. People were really excited when it started, and then ultimately, for people that either didn't watch or short memory, the ending of the season was a colossal historic debacle.
I'm very surprised we're here because of how badly that finale went and how much outrage there was. I'm very surprised this was renewed, that it's especially when there is so much other reality stuff going on. I feel like they kind of dropped the first one in when maybe there was like more of a dead spot. They can try to fill some time. I am very surprised that this is happening right now, but the cast looks pretty good. And I've heard, rumblings is supposed to be a pretty good season. So I'm here for it. Look, I'll enjoy it as long as the train is on the tracks for.
Okay, good. Allie?
Yeah, I mean, all challenge is good challenge. I think particularly we've had such a gap that like I'm jonesing for it. I'm ready to be back. I agree. Like, there's a lot of people I don't really know well on this cast, which we'll talk more about. And there's definitely, a big change right at the top from season 1 with having 6 veterans, like big challenge veterans back on the show. And also veterans under the guise of, like Big Brother people who have already made the jump to the challenge, who could be legends and veterans in their own right, being billed as Big Brother players. So it's already going to be different from season 1, whether that's a positive thing or a negative thing. I'm sure we'll discuss, remains to be seen. I'm also surprised we're here, but not only because of everything you guys have talked about with season 1, but also the like cast outcry, like friend of yours, I was going to say the podcast, I wish friend of my podcast, but Tyson, very openly critical about the situation, production, the prize money, like not just Tyson, a lot of the contestants were like, we would never do that show again. So it'll be interesting to see what changes, if any, are made throughout the season.
Okay, so that's one thing to keep an eye on. What about in terms of the format of the Challenge USA 2? Have they released like a theme or anything like that for this?
No theme, no official format. The only thing we can go off there's is a cast photo where there's seemingly three teams, because there's people in three different colored uniforms. So I think that seems to be the format. It's unclear, and there's of the six challenge vets, there's two in each of those colors, one man, one woman. So I would imagine that's how they're divided. I don't know if it's like a schoolyard pick when it happens, and these are the output, if it's randomly determined, if there's some sort of challenge to determine the teams. But it seems like it's going to be three teams, not an algorithm that they used last season to randomly
and not teams based off of show. That three sort of like just randomized groups of people.
No, they pulled in the wheel, spat out a result, and these are the three teams.
Okay,
not the wheels. Akiva was not there.
Yeah, ChatGPT spit out some teams. Okay, so but that between the three of us, that I think that there should be, we should have a 100% recognition of who these people are, and let's talk through the cast of people who I'm not super familiar with, who's here and who's not. So why don't we go through it? Okay, so we have a slideshow here. We are on video for this one if you were listening to the podcast and you want to watch along. But starting with Sam Moore has put together a slideshow of The Amazing Race. It's a show on CBS. And this is a man, Dusty Harris is here. Dusty Harris, that he was on The Amazing Race, I think it was 2 seasons ago. And he was part of the COVID season of Amazing Race, and he raced with his partner, Ryan. And do you know this? Do either of you know the story of Dusty and Ryan?
Sounds like a wrestling gig.
Ryan was wrongfully accused and imprisoned of committing a crime, and I believe it was a murder. And Ryan went to jail for a long time before he ultimately got the case overturned, got out of prison. They've made movies about Ryan and his buddy Dusty, and they became friends and went on The Amazing Race together. And were at one point, they looked like the prohibitive favorites to win The Amazing Race. Ultimately, it did not work out for Ryan and Dusty. They ultimately lost to the Holderness family in Amazing Race from earlier last year. And but he was fun to watch. And the joke that we were making about Dusty on the podcast was that he had a lot of similarities to a canine.
I'm sorry, that's an incredible story. Like, did this get like the
Ryan has
an
incredible story.
How did they
Ryan
get
has
an
unbelievable human interest story, and he's friends with Dusty.
Was this like a serial thing? Did someone catch hold of it and do a podcast and get him free? Was this just like the legal teams that got him free? This is incredible. Wow. Got to root for Dusty, I guess.
Can I ask you a question, Rob? So
yes,
seems like the headline is about Ryan.
Yes.
Would Ryan have been better cast here, or do you think Dusty and his canine ways are?
So that Dusty was actually more fun on the show. I think Dusty was kind of a bigger personality.
So you're saying Ryan didn't rebound from that situation and become a barrel of laughs?
He's not a barrel of laughs.
Drama. Yeah.
Right. But Ryan wasn't like down in the dumps. He's sort of like, hey, I was in jail for 9 years. I got to make the most out of every single day out in the real world. So it was not like that. Ryan was sort of like had like, this was like a dark personality or anything like this. But Dusty was like a little bit more of like a wild card. But Ryan is the much more famous person of the duo.
I feel bad for the Amazing Race here because this is a very similar spot that they were in last season, where the main attractions and the main grouping of people were Survivor and Big Brother. And it felt like for last season as well that the Amazing Race people were kind of like there for the picking. And I thought if they were going to do this again, either don't bring Amazing Race on, no offense to them, or like give them the fair shot. And they're almost doing it worse. Like I feel like there's less representation of Amazing Race this season. So like I want to root for like some of the other dogs, but it just feels like they're just
he was an underdog.
They're just setting themselves up for such failure. And I don't know why they're doing it. If you're only going to bring in a couple of people of the Amazing Race, why even bring them on and just make it a Survivor and Big Brother thing anyway, when those are the people they bring on the regular show to begin with? So is Dusty really like? If you're just a casual Amazing Race fan, you see Dusty on the show, are you really like, oh well, I got to follow Dusty's trajectory? I have to go watch. Like, I don't see where he's moving the needle at all to like shift that whole
It's a
fan
good
base
point.
here.
Like, I don't know who they're appeasing here. I don't know if like the Amazing Race producers are like demanding the inclusion in the Challenge USA. But yeah, it is like a pittance. There is 2 Amazing Racers that are on this season. I think there were 3 on the last season, right?
Yeah, there were 3.
Yeah, and one of them I think gave us some of the most interesting like early strategy, and it was Kara, and what was his name? Was it Kara?
Kayla,
Kayla
and
and
James.
James.
Yeah.
And James was really fantastic, sort of gone too soon again, like sort of, I think exactly what Brian's saying, never really had a chance because of their low numbers. But it makes sense to me that somebody from the Amazing Race would be well suited for the challenge from like the athletic standpoint. Dusty visually looks very much like Kyle from the UK, from who's been on a bunch of seasons to me in this photo.
Not
Like
BB Kyle.
definitely
Not
looks
like
like he fits the challenge mode. No, we'll talk about Big Brother 24. But um so I like the inclusion. I'm actually sad. That's another change that we didn't highlight, is that they haven't brought anyone from Love Island US, which they did last season. And I don't know if they didn't feel like anyone sort of rose to the level here, or if it because it moved to P plus, if they're not really like caring about Love Island US. But I'm sad to not see Love Island. I like that they're pushing the Amazing Race people so that it's not just becoming Big Brother versus Survivor. But I don't know that they really stand a chance here. Maybe on a bigger team, it's not so individual.
Yeah, but we'll see if Dusty ends up targeted. I think that Dusty was just a very easy to like guy. So I think that Dusty should be fine. I don't think anybody's gunning for Dusty. All right. And then the other Amazing Racer we have here is Lewis from the Amazing Race. I think from the most recent season, the one that Derek X and Claire won. And people love this guy. He's fun.
To be loved on a season with Derek X and Claire absorbing all of the lovability is pretty impressive. Like, to also emerge as a lovable character.
Yeah.
No falsely accused murders for him or his partner, right?
None,
Okay,
none at all. And
Love
so that he ran the Amazing Race with, I apologize if it's his girlfriend, fiance, or wife. That I'm going to say wife. And they were just like very, very fun. He had like a really positive, fun personality. And so I do think that he is the type of person that's going to make a lot of friends here in the challenge compound.
Well, that's going to be key for their longevity in the game as an Amazing Race duo to survive the numbers, is getting in there socially.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
he's really fun, a very good athlete, and so I think that he would be like I think that somebody that I think could do very well on the challenge.
Rob,
Yeah,
any
but
obvious
you
misses?
win the challenge? Yeah. Yes.
Do you think anyone they should have padded the Amazing Race team here with? I know they're not a team, but like, are we missing anybody that comes to mind?
So from the Amazing Race, from the last year of the Amazing Race, I guess all-time Amazing Race is eligible, but certainly Rex Ryan would have been nice to have.
Not the Rex Ryan, I assume you're not talking about, right?
Rex Ryan was on the Amazing Race. He was on the same season as Dusty.
Oh my goodness.
Brian, how you don't know this?
I did not know this. I didn't.
Yes, I did an exit interview with him.
Oh, it's in my queue. I'm sorry. I'll get to it next
Yes. Okay. There was a woman named Dom on the Amazing Race. I mean, we don't have any women from the Amazing Race.
I feel like the obvious answer would be Claire, right? Like, I feel like she would have been kind of like a good bridge to bring some of the Amazing Race to the Big Brother world.
Wow, Brian hates Derek X.
Well, Derek X was already on this, so like, I don't know, bring someone else new on. USA. So I feel like she would have been the perfect person. That way, there's like a little bit of a connection.
There was a woman named Dom on the Amazing Race 34, and she was really great drama. That there aren't any women. I would have liked to have seen her come back. There was also a married couple named Glendon and Lamumba, and Glenda is a very tall, athletic woman, and Lumumba is like a Kevin Hart type. He's like a very, he's athletic, but he's like much shorter than she was. And I think that either of them would have been good on the Amazing Race cast. So there were definitely more people that they could have filled out the Amazing Race roster with.
Especially because there's also just 2 when there's 3 teams. That's even more odd that there's not a third, just at least have 1 on each team. It's very odd. I feel like maybe someone dropped last minute for Amazing Race that would have fit. I don't know. It is very odd just to have 2 of them.
Yeah. So, yeah, what are you going to do? But I do think that both of these guys, I think that they are both like people that are very fun, charismatic personalities that I think that they are going to try to form social bonds in the house.
Very likely that they'll be going head to head within the first 3 weeks of elimination. I'd be very surprised if that doesn't happen.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Big Brother. Big week for Big Brother. Look who's back. Alyssa Lopez, 2-time challenge person now.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like this was the show where she almost felt better suited for it to begin with. I thought she made a good impact last season. She's very athletic. I think she did pretty well in the challenges in the daily. She can do well in eliminations. This is her world. I think even after this, she can even go to challenge proper. Like she has always felt like an MTV-ish person that would fit very well amongst this crew. So I'm very excited that since they're bringing people back from USA 1, that she was one of the people that they carried over.
Well, her big drama was that she was feuding with Shan in the early going, but then she kind of like settled in, right? That she was part of there was like that women's alliance that had formed.
So I think she also, the Shan drama was sort of like the top layer, and then she had this sort of internal vendetta against the cookout that she was like looking to exact revenge on. So I think the audience felt was a misstep from her to like turn against Tiffany, and I think Kylan was like the bigger, or X was also on. God, everybody was on last season.
It was all Big Brother.
And then once she sort of exacted her revenge, she fell into that Angela alliance where she was sort of her right hand. So while Alyssa was able to sort of call a lot of the strategic moves in the early game, whether or not they were the right moves for her is definitely up for debate. She sort of fell behind, I think, Angela as like the number 2.
Yeah.
Angela, I don't know where she stands. I have to imagine CBS would have given any amount of money to get her on with Tyler here, but she did go out in the finale in a very controversial, frankly unfair way where she was like disqualified. So I don't know if she was willing to come back on. So Alyssa, I think, is like, maybe she's coming back ready to exact revenge for her ally Angela. Maybe that's her story.
Maybe. We'll see. All right. So here's Alyssa Lopez. She's back now. All right. Hold on. We just did Alyssa, right?
Rob.
The other Big Brother Alyssa. What are we doing?
Pin them against each other. Can only have one Alyssa at a time here. Make them go head to head.
Alyssa I had no idea. You could have given me 100 guesses. I would not have told you. Alyssa Snyder is here. But Alyssa, who was with Kyle in the Big Brother 24 house, she's here.
So let me just issue a disclaimer about Big Brother 24. I did not watch Big Brother 24. Whatever. It didn't get great reviews on my timeline. I did not wade into the discourse. I did not get involved.
Does it ever?
I protected my peace, to quote the great Chappelle, and whatever. I was like, all right, all these people are from Big Brother 24. I take this seriously. I've got time. I'm going to watch Big Brother 24 in preparation for this season of the challenge. I got through, I think, the piercing station in the first carnival game, and I stopped watching, which was the first episode where they come into the house. Nothing against it. It's hard to watch Big Brother when you know the winner, a lot of the drama, the second place person who we'll talk about. I have in my notes, all I know about Alyssa is bad adjacent. I don't know anything else, but I've been warned.
Yeah. I feel like that in a vacuum, I feel like Alyssa probably is, if you were going to do a tier list of the worst
Booyah?
contenders in Big Brother 24, maybe it's Booyah. We'll have that one coming up. I do think that, Alyssa is, mostly guilty by association on a lot of things. And of course, I'm sure there are many people on Twitter that have a laundry list of things that maybe she was culpable in. But yeah, it seemed like that she was somebody who kind of was a Big Brother fan, kind of got lumped in with Kyle and was, ultimately guilty by association with a lot of the stuff that ended up going down with Kyle. And also, Brian, anything else you want to say about Alyssa?
Well, so I know Alyssa and Kyle rekindled things soon after the season, but going into this
But then I think it's over now.
She was she single, Alyssa, going into the challenge, or did challenge make her be single Alyssa afterwards? Is what I'm wondering. Because I don't like to see single Alyssa kind of mingle around. The challenge, like Big Brother, even more so, kind of plays into the coupling and the flirting around, trying to like play that card. So I'm curious where Alyssa stands in her relationships that's coming into the season, because I think she
pretty sure
she
it
can
was
play that
over,
pretty well.
right?
All right, good. I hope so. Hopes for
I think
her.
so. It didn't last long with Kyle, I don't think, ultimately.
Many things didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think we do have a single Bananas too, who's like, sort of like does not shy away from a showmance with a younger rookie woman on the scene. So maybe not that he's a physical dupe for that Jamoke Kyle, but we'll see. Maybe she doesn't have a type and it's flexible.
Okay. All right. There's two Big Brother Alyssas are here. Amazing. All right. Here is Amira Jones.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think if you were giving me a list of people that were most likely making the jump to USA, I think Amira would be very low on the list. I did not see this coming. She had a very short stint in her Big Brother. She did not have, I don't think she had a lot of big stan community pushing for, we need to see Amira. We need to see her.
If anything, the opposite, Brian.
Yes, so it is very odd that she's a part of this season, but she's here. Gonna embrace her as much as we can and see what she brings to the table. But of all like the BB24 people, not of all, but of a lot of them, this was a very surprising pick.
This
could have been an Amazing Race pick. I feel like this was where, let's bring in the third Amazing Race person.
I don't know how they cast this show. Certainly it's not based off of like, well, who are our most popular figures that we should bring in that the fans really want to see. But I will say, like, if they were sort of like in a vacuum of maybe they look at it like who didn't get a fair shake, then I do think that Amira was somebody who was looked at as somebody who there were, a bunch of like, not the sharpest Big Brother players that we've ever had. That Amira did seem like that she had the most smarts out of like a group of people that did not seem like they knew the game super well.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. You also don't need like super smarts to do well at the challenge. That I think there's a very different level of intellect and skill set that you need there. So if maybe her physical background will play a little bit more to the challenge world, that could fit. It just feels like they would want to choose more like uplifting people to bring onto the season, and Amira just wouldn't fit that. But maybe gets a second chance on the spotlight and she changes her stripes a little bit. So I'm rooting for that. Always here for second chances.
All right.
One quick thing, I make no promises to embrace anyone, so I disavow what Brian said there. But I also think for any skeptics out there, like I was against Big Brother people coming on the challenge proper to begin with, and then when they cast who they cast, I was like, what? And they do by and large a great job at deciding better than the fans of who should and can make the jump. So I'll save that.
Yeah, it can't just be a love fest on the challenge. If we have people that are gonna like have a lot of conflict, then maybe that's what we're looking for in the challenge, right?
Sure.
Okay,
let's do it. Bring it.
All right. So Amira is here to mix it up. All right, Fessel.
Yeah. So Fessel really made a name for himself in the challenge world. He's been on 3 or 4 seasons, makes a couple finals, thinks he's like the greatest thing to ever walk the challenge world. Hasn't done anything to back that up. Does a lot of the things to make himself fall on his face, which is very fun. He also surrounds himself with a lot of women on the shows. Like Fessel's very controversial because I very much enjoy him on the seasons. I think he brings a lot to it. A lot of people don't like to see him on the season. So I think he's going to be a lot of fun because he's very messy.
I'm looking forward to catching up with Fessy because it's been 5 years for me since Big Brother 20.
Okay, first of all, I did not realize the library was open, Brian. Before you're going to drag someone that harshly, you have to let me know. I am firmly in the camp that we are currently in the midst of the Fessel transition from like cocky person to like respected challenge contender. I think it started the last season he was on. I think we are transitioning. We have dropped Fessy, we have adopted Fessel, and the train is going to keep on moving in that direction. That is my prediction for Fessel. My biggest issue here is, again, I do not understand, and like for any new listeners or people considering watching the challenge, we have to just let go of order and sense and fairness. But if you're putting 6 challenge legends together, like we'll talk about Corey, for example, there is nothing that says Corey really belongs in that category, or Amanda, like, and Fessel doesn't. Like, Fessel is a very experienced challenge contestant, and it's sort of whatever team gets him is getting another vet. I don't really understand how we're putting Fessel back in the Big Brother camp. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah,
he helped me have my most viral TikTok ever, so that's also why I'm quite fond of him as well. But sure,
really, because you dragged him worse than I've ever heard you drag.
Well, I dragged him in the viral TikTok as well, so it was kind of perfect.
So, Allie, do you feel like that the people that have like sort of like a foot in both worlds, i.e., a Fessel, that they are the people that are probably best set up here?
I think so, because they're very connected not only to this sort of like Big Brother alumni community, but if there are 2 vets on each team, like Fessel's very connected with all of these vets, for better or worse. I mean, there's some existing drama there, but you know the game, you know the players, you know the people on Big Brother, you know the people on the challenge. I think it's a huge advantage.
Yeah, because so much of the challenge world that's different than Survivor and Big Brother. It's like what happens in one game that there are repercussions that happen in. So I could make a big move in Survivor and take out the person who's the most likely to win, but you do something sort of like underhanded and cutthroat, and then maybe you're going to pay for it in a future season of the challenge.
That was almost the appeal of USA One, where it almost felt like a clean slate, where people could come on and kind of do whatever they want to win, and then like never be seen again, and like do whatever. Because the last couple seasons of the challenge, it's really almost hit a breaking point, especially amongst the fans and even amongst the cast. Of like some people, there's a core group that are like they're very close friends, and all they really care about now is just getting to the end, to the final together, and then whoever wins, oh great, that person can win. And then there's even been some controversy with sharing money and things like that. So there has been some issue with that extra core layer to it. So I'm hoping with so many of these other people coming on for the first time that might think it's their first time, they won't have that layer. But now with a little bit of crossover, it does create a little bit of that murkiness. So there is that little bit of worry as well that it's, USA 2 is going to be like some of the other seasons.
Okay.
It's also, if it was a pure, like there's 6 veterans and then there's, 18 other folks who have never been on any of the challenge shows before, then like those people are incentivized to make, big moves, because it's not like in Survivor now where Jeff has said like, you're never coming back, we're not doing returnees for a long time. Like there's a lot to be gained on this show, in this franchise, by doing reckless things, making big moves, taking big swings, and losing, because you're more likely to be Alyssa and get invited back or make the jump to the next franchise or wherever. So like Fessel has no incentive to do that. And like a newbie Big Brother player, I'm happy to see Fessel, but not in this spot. I'd rather see a new person who's like hungry to make an impact on the game.
Okay. All right. Josh Martinez is also here, very much in the similar vein to Fessel. I believe he came into the challenge at the same time. What has been Josh's legacy on the challenge?
Josh's legacy, not to go dragging again, but maybe one of the worst competitors to ever play on the challenge. I think he's like 0-7 in eliminations. He's, he lost. I mean, this guy is one of the best ever, but he lost in tug of war to someone with one hand. There's been a lot of embarrassing moments for Josh on the challenge, and he thinks of himself as a more established player and someone that should be respected, but that's never really been the case. And he had a fake feud with Wes, who's on this season. I'm very curious to see where that comes about, where Wes drags him even worse than this. So I'm curious where they stand. So Josh, he likes to think of himself as a bigger player, but he most certainly is not.
Wow.
Okay, I mean, just a lot was said. One of the worst competitors ever. Like, wow, wow. I think Josh is also. I could say everything I said about Fessel. I could probably say about Josh, sort of like in a different way. Like Josh, I also think is sort of moving into this next phase and is becoming more likable. Like the last few seasons, Josh hasn't been on. I think a lot of these people haven't been on since 2021. I looked this up, like Spies, Lies, and Allies. It's been a couple seasons since we've seen Josh, right? Or that could have been one season ago, and my
It
brain
might
is
be. I think it's
broken.
just one season, but there's been like 5
Feels
different
like
variations
forever.
of the challenge. Yeah.
And so I think Josh on the challenge is sort of moving into like a lot of people like him socially. Like he has made a lot of friends with like certain people who carry a lot of weight, and I think he's sort of in this transitional state now. Both for Fessel and Josh, maybe being a big fish in a smaller pond here with a lot of new players, maybe their egos explode again in a way that they've been sort of shrinking slightly to normal size on the challenge. But I'm excited to see a little bit of chaos from Josh here. Like I'm not mad at the casting.
Okay. All right. Looking forward to seeing Josh back on TV after Big Brother 19 and his win there. Okay. Okay. And now here is somebody who is from Big Brother 24, our runner up. It's Monty Taylor.
I also didn't realize his last name was Taylor. That's very ironic to lose to Taylor. I don't think I even knew that. That's very funny. But I think if you were thinking of someone to make the jump from last season of Big Brother to this season, I know his popularity might not have been high, but like you're very good at competitions, good in the house, good socially. I think he would have made a high. It was high likelihood he was going to be part of the season. So I think this is a good fit for Monty to do pretty well as long as he keeps his ego in check and everything like that. But I think Monty can do pretty well in this season. I think he probably has a lot to prove after being running up in Big Brother. I think he wants to make a name for himself here. So I have high hopes for Monty.
Yeah, he's definitely a big guy. He's athletic. In terms of like socially, I don't know even how important that ultimately is in the challenge house. I don't remember him being sort of like a dynamo socially in the Big Brother 24 house.
Just can't be an asshole. Like, don't be a jerk, and I think that's it's a good starting point. And I don't think Monty will present himself like that. So I think that at the very least, he's not going to be like the first person you would think to be targeted, and then he can try to build some bonds that way. So I think Monty could do pretty well.
I do think he had a decent relationship with Amira, so that's potentially a bond for him here in this house as he's trying to make some allies.
Maybe bond with Tyler as the runner-up crow. There's something there.
Maybe, but overall, I'm a little indifferent on Monty. Like
next slide.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I know some people really don't like him. I don't know if anybody stands him. But I'm more nothing for Monty.
That's the worst thing of all. That's the shadiest thing anyone said in the podcast.
Well, I just feel like I mean, he was like on his way to potentially being like the prohibitive favorite towards the end of the season, and really like a lot of things like broke in Taylor's favor for her to ultimately get the win, including Monty deciding to take her to the end for some reason. And then ultimately, Taylor just like blew him away in the final 2. And I feel like that Monty's Big Brother 24 win potentially would have been like one of the most meh wins ever.
Should we talk about Taylor not being here? Is it like, would Taylor never do another show? Or because she seems to be like, as someone who didn't even watch the show, like the most obvious like person. It's like Tiffany from the season
before. I think
before.
if they could have gotten Taylor, they would have loved to have had Taylor here. I think that Taylor would be, it would be wild for Taylor to want to go do this challenge.
Yeah, I think she said doesn't she like not want to do reality TV ever again? I feel like has been like her kind of prevailing sentiment a little bit.
I think that again, I'm not her agent or anything like that. I think she probably would be open to the right opportunity, but I think this ain't it.
Meaning the CBS version, or you think she'd be open to like the challenge proper, or neither?
I don't think that, like, why? What's the incentive for Taylor to go do any of the challenges?
I don't know much about what she's up to now. I mean, what's the incentive for anyone to go do any
Mhm.
of these? Like to be a professional influencer and reality TV contestant.
Yeah. Like, I kind of feel like that the challenge is sort of like that the way I see it, and tell me, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm like, hey, I'm sort of I'm a person that's been on some of these other shows. I have a degree of physicality. I want to get in there. I want to mix it up. This is an opportunity for me to, gain more followers and potentially, make some money doing this. But I feel like that, especially when you're Taylor, who could have a lot of other opportunities, has won pretty good cash prize on Big Brother. Also isn't like somebody who is like coming out of like a, scrappy fighting background. Like, what would be the point?
Yeah, I mean, the only correction, I mean, I think that all makes sense as it relates to Taylor as someone who doesn't really know Taylor that well and didn't watch the show, but I do think people go to the challenge hoping that it becomes literally their career. Like
Yeah.
in a way that they don't just like drop by Survivor, Big Brother, or Stars on Mars to get a few followers and a check. Like I do think it's like, I guess I could do this. Like let this season be a lesson to these people. Like the 6 people showing up here have made this, or more than 6 people, veterans showing up, have literally made this a full-time job successfully. So I think that is some challenge appeal, but yeah, if he
And
needs
people
it.
have branched off from here and done other stuff too. Like Bananas had a show like on NBC for a little bit. Obviously, way back in the day, a lot of
1
other
a.m.
people.
that airs in the cab.
Hey, it's still a show.
Hey,
I mean, it's
Brian
still a
watched
show.
it, Allie. Okay,
I've only seen that in my
he has
taxi
all the
cab.
episodes on Blu-ray.
I was like, even people back in the day have become like very big names in the world. So like, it's not like you can go from the challenge and do other big things as well. It's not it's not a retirement home.
All right. Let's go. Oh, Paulie Calafiore is here. How about that?
This I am probably, of all the people on the season, personally, I'm the most excited to have back.
I'm not as well consider you a part of the Calafiore family.
Yeah, Paulie, there was an era of the challenge where, not to put this curse on him, but he felt like the future of the show. He was like one of the head guys. He was involved with like the other, like the top female, Cara, that they're still together. He was a great competitor. He was doing all this different stuff. He felt like the show.
Yeah.
And then he kind of like the relationship with Cara kind of soiled his relationship with MTV. And then he's been off her. I mean, it feels like a long time.
Is that what happened? His relationship with Cara?
Well, I think Cara.
His relationship with
I think so, probably.
I think there was some threat. My understanding was allegedly there were some threats made off season to other players.
Podcasters?
What do you mean you're not aware of it? This is like what happened. Like I think people, and then there was like I think criticism of like why can Turbo come back and like they're not letting Paulie. I think Paulie said something like that.
Oh, good. He got it back.
It is not his relationship with Cara, because I believe Cara was offered to return and said she wouldn't as long as Paulie wasn't able to come. I mean, maybe I'm talking out of turn, but
I'm just very happy he's back. I think he brings a lot to the table. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he reassimilates back to this crew. And I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to want to give it all like 120% every single moment he's on screen. So I think if anyone that's going to do all they can to like get himself back into it, it's going to be Paulie.
Okay. Looking forward to having Paulie back on my TV screen once again.
This does remind me, first of all, this is a cursed image that Sam put up here. I know it's his official cast photo, but it is staring into my soul. This does remind me, I do need to change, note to self, Allie from Inside the Podcast, I need to change my bio on the Robinson website.com, which quotes Paulie. It says Allie is a typical Jersey girl trying to fit into the Midwest. So that's pretty dated. I should fix that. Anyway. Thank you to Paulie for that reminder. Happy to see him back. Sort of.
Okay. Well, Paulie used to hang out at the Jersey Shore. Do you remember, Allie?
Oh, it smells worse than a porta potty at the Jersey Shore after an all-you-can-eat wings competition. I mean, this thing is disgusting.
Are wings the like premier food that you would think of as I feel like hot dogs is the food, but
I don't know. Coney Island is more hot dog. I don't know.
I'm always impressed how quickly you have all of these different. You must have like 5,000 sound drops on that board that you just like you're so
Brian,
ready
come
to go.
on, it's nothing. Come on. All right. Oh, Tyler Crispin's here. How about this? Oh, baby.
Allie, excited?
I don't mean to have nothing to say. Like I don't dislike Tyler. Don't come for me. Did the Tangela fans still exist, or
I have
are
no
they
idea.
been
I have no
separated?
idea.
Who got the
quiet.
Tangela
They've been
stands in the
quiet lately.
divorce?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think this is like I have been like nothing but effusive of Tyler's gameplay in the first half of Big Brother 20. I think that if he wants to, he can be one of the greatest ever. That this guy has all of the skills, and then obviously it like fell in love. We know that whole story. But if the old Tyler is back, watch out, everybody.
Particularly to highlight for the uninitiated that Casey has become a staple of the challenge proper, and is so not only a strong competitor in her own right, but has become so connected to another challenge veteran, Nani, as they've been in a really serious relationship for a long time. So if Tyler, I mean, I feel like Tyler should have been on the challenge 100 years ago. It makes complete sense. So if he I was going to say does well here, but if he does anything here, I think he's got a one-way ticket to the challenge proper, where he will join the installation of Josh and Casey and Fessel and Nani and Bananas and all of that.
But if he wants to be there, like, because we saw him in Big Brother 22, where he came back and he kind of was like homesick and wasn't really into it. And I just don't know which Tyler we're getting, Brian.
Yeah, we don't. I'm curious. I mean, I feel like the Big Brother house, like with knowing that you're watched 24/7, I think that's much more of like a pressure cooker situation. I feel like for Tyler, he does like
sometimes
competitions.
It's a pressure cooker situation.
That's right. I feel like the fact that he'll have regular competitions to do, it's a larger group. He can try to blend in a little bit more and have and I think he will have some built-in friendships, as Ali was saying. I think Tori and Fessel were out the bat be looking out for him with his relationship with Casey. So I can't speak to his mental mindset, obviously, but I think this show is much easier, I would think, for him to deal with than going into a Big Brother All-Stars and all the pressure that came along with that and everything. So I would think this would be an easier situation for him to kind of slide into.
If old Tyler is back, nobody will be more excited than me.
I just also want to highlight that this is undoubtedly a shorter film time than 100 days. I don't know what his last season of Big Brother was, but also they let you FaceTime home. Like it's definitely like, well, I would have said it's
on the last season of the challenge on FaceTime.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say this is a more humane situation, but maybe not based on what other contestants have said. But like in terms of the pure isolation from like your loved ones, I don't think that's as much of an issue here as Survivor or Big Brother proper are.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, and then here's back from last season's challenge and BB23, Tiffany Mitchell. And I was bummed out that Tiffany was such an early exit from last summer's challenge.
Yeah, I think she's the person I'm most excited to see, just like gut reaction, because she was probably the person everyone was most excited to see cast on the first season, and she went out week 2. So I think this is great to see her back. They've definitely used a light hand on returnees. They did not bring back the 2 winners. They brought back only 3 people from last season. A really good pick, I think, with Tiffany here. And it will be interesting to see where she stands with Alyssa after Alyssa kind of turned on the cookout in season 1. They're, I think, the only 2 people back impacted by that. So we'll see what happens there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm hoping the team format allows the player to play a little bit more of a skill set of like building a conglomerate within her team and different teams and trying to think of different strategies to like put herself in better situations than like the algorithm did last time. So, and also I feel like she has such a bigger target coming in last season with like the aura of her from Big Brother. Now like a different season has passed, more time has passed, that maybe like her target level is not as high coming into this. I think she can kind of like reset her base and do pretty well. So I'm excited for her.
All right, so that's it for the okay, now we're on to the challenge, people. Okay, this is where Allie and Brian, okay, This is where they go to work. All right. So
tell me. I know he put it in alphabetical order, but like, tell me that Sam or a Rob Has a Podcast person made this slideshow without telling me a Rob Has a Podcast person made the slideshow. We're ending with Survivor, and we're not ending with the Challenge Legends on the Challenge podcast. Outrageous.
Okay. Well, there will be a production meeting at the end of this call, Allie. Okay.
All right.
Alphabetical.
Nobody's more surprised than me that we're going to the challenge people
I
now.
like that he did alphabetical of the shows too, not just of the people of like the shows. But.
Yeah. All right. But we're here. You want to skip the Survivor?
No, please. I'll look. We're in your house. When we're back on our turf, we'll talk about the challenge.
Again, not
with
the way I would have
respect it
drawn it up,
deserves.
Allie. Yeah.
We've had a decade to talk about these 6 people, so it's okay. We could share the news with you too.
Okay. All right. We'll save the Survivors for the end, I guess. All right.
Amanda being the first one up after this is somehow hilarious.
Yes. Sam is arguing in the chat. I went alphabetical. No, we're already here, Sam. Let's just talk about the challenge people. Okay. All right.
Poor Sam.
Amanda Garcia.
What's not to say about Amanda Garcia?
Yeah.
Amanda Garcia is, I think, the stick of dynamite inserted into the season. I'm frankly surprised they cast her on the CBS version. Like, she can be so explosive, and so she has thrown away her own game for spite, which nothing excites me more in a person. We haven't seen her, I was going to say, in a few seasons, but she was also last on in 2021 as Spies, Lies, and Allies. I have seen on Twitter she has already gotten into a fight on Twitter with fellow contestant Tori Deal. Amanda is one to watch if you came for drama. Not so much the athleticism, but really the drama starter.
Yeah. Now, so what I hear about Amanda is like, oh, on Twitter, she's wild. But does she start drama on the show
Both,
also?
Yes, absolutely.
More so.
Yeah. And she leans into it. She knows who she is. She knows like why she's there. She's not like hiding it. She goes in full throttle. She like picks the devil horn. She knows who she is. And she'll fight with anyone at any moment. But also in like a fun way, like not like getting canceled type of way, at least not yet. But like in a fun, like, oh, this is like reality TV type of way. So Amanda's fantastic television.
Brian, I don't know why I'm taking an unnecessary swing here, but more is coming to my memory than ever before, or to be expected of me. Amanda, it's like there's an interesting diagram of the people coming back here, where Amanda has an up and down, but mostly good relationship with Josh, and I believe with Fessel, although I don't know where they last left off. Josh has a good relationship with like the Tori bananas for the most part. But Amanda and Tori represent sort of two opposite sides where Josh and Fessel can, depending on where they are, be in the middle. So it's sort of like, I don't know where they all stand now. Things shift. I think Josh is more likely to sort of go with the bigger players, which are the other challenge vets, than Amanda. But they do have this friendship that might be tested here again, as it's been tested before.
Amanda and Fessel had a fling the last time that they were at RHAP. So
okay.
Who hasn't?
Yeah. So no, but Amanda's gonna be great. So you speak to any.
All right, looking forward to meeting her. Okay. Yeah. All right. Here's Corey Wharton.
Corey's also been, I think, off for. No, he's probably. I don't know. He comes on and off, but he's
also 2021.
Yeah, he's been on the scene for a while now, and he is almost a little bit in that Fessel camp where I think he, for a while, thinks he's been better than he has been, but another one that's come close to winning a couple times, but hasn't really gotten over the hump. Really, like, he appreciates this show a lot. He loves this show. He was part of this old conglomerate called the Young Bucks, where he thought he was going to take over the show with his buddies and pals, but it hasn't really worked out for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, look, he's going to, he does a lot of stupid things. He's like athletic, but he's not very sharp. He, puts himself in bad situations, especially with women. But he says he's an up and down
classic young buck.
Yeah.
I mean, Corey also joins us from the Teen Mom universe, if you can believe it, because he met a woman from Are You the One on the challenge, Cheyenne. They had a kid, and in the Teen Mom like redux, they put her on Teen Mom, even though she was in her early 20s. He is now with another person from the challenge universe, 2 kids with her, 1 kid with Cheyenne, and they are all on Teen Mom, a very adorable family that I have been following, and the challenge listeners know that. Happy to see Tori back, not following in a creepy way, just from afar.
Yeah, no, they're on TV.
Yeah, I think Corey is I want to say like fan favorite, but not because anyone like really thinks he's gonna win or wants him to win, but he's good for a laugh. He's good for like a nice moment, a fun moment, but he's not like, I don't think he's gonna win this season. Although I wouldn't be upset if he did.
Could use the money, it would be nice. Good for him.
Okay. All right.
He's got that Teen Mom money. What are you talking about?
All right. Well, let's get to the coup de grace. All right. Let Brian Cohen talk about his boy Johnny Bananas.
Yeah, so if you're gonna, bring anyone on from the challenge to like put the stamp on it, it would probably be either him or CT. I guess they went with Bananas here. Probably you can make the case the greatest of all time. I would say the second greatest of all time, or right there. I mean, he's gonna make himself the star.
From Brian Cohen.
He's gonna make himself the star of the show. He's a pseudo producer out there. He's gonna try to pin people against each other. He appears to do it very well. He's gonna have a target on his back. He is what the show has become for better or for worse. So,
yeah,
polarizing figure.
I mean, this is a huge opportunity, I feel like, for these challenge proper people to make the leap to network television. No, am I reading this wrong?
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there's also Johnny Bananas is the #1 person who's been rumored from the challenge for like celebrity Big Brother. He's going to be on Big Brother. I feel like I hear that every celebrity Big Brother casting and it never comes to fruition. I think he would be very excited to make the jump to a celebrity or celebrity adjacent show. And I'm not surprised. Like in the park? Like what do you mean?
It'll be All-Star game. He did the celebrity softball game.
Okay.
Wish I could go back to not knowing that. I don't know. I'm like almost, I don't know how to feel about this because like you mentioned CT not being here, but we're going to talk about Wes, and like having Johnny Bananas and Wes here is like really sort of like using a lot of their star power here. And I don't know if this is like the casting or production trying to like really beef up and invest in like the challenge CBS after what happened last season, or it's just these people are hungry and they say yes to everything. But it's definitely not insignificant that Bananas is here.
Yeah. I do wonder maybe if after like how it ended last year, if that maybe the challenge feels like, hey, we're going to have a little more control over this group if we have like some of our like acolytes in there who are playing for our team and not necessarily all these like Survivor, Big Brother troublemakers that are just going to complain about what we're doing.
And that's perfectly said because Bananas really is a producer. Like he's not credited as such, but he and a lot of these other folks like intentionally produce their confessionals. They produce moments. They know what will be good. And to that, and I don't know if Wes is next because it's in alphabetical order, but I think it naturally segues us into talking about Wes because
yes. And is this an alphabetical order by first name, or is this J for Johnny,
or by nickname?
Yes.
So, because Bananas and Wes have always been historic, like foils, rivals. Recently, they've sort of realized they're more powerful together in the new era where there's all these like young bucks, for lack of a better word, coming in. But Bananas likes to play a classic game of like, you kiss the ring, you respect your elders, you vote with the majority, we get to the end, it's fine. And Wes is usually more willing to mix it up, get the riffraff together, make a play. So it'll be interesting how these teams get divvied up, if their rivalry will be a rivalry or if they'll continue working together. Like a lot of intrigue just added by having these two guys on the same season.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I have not had the Johnny Bananas experience yet.
Be ready.
I'm ready. Very much looking forward to it. Okay.
Are you watching this season? I don't want to call you out.
Oh,
but are you watching?
Allie, I'm watching the season, and if I'm given the opportunity, I'll do the exit press with CBS once again.
Oh, right, you did the exit press. I forgot. Okay, so you did watch.
I'll be.
It wasn't really my purview.
That was one of my best moments of my life.
I'll be listening to the recaps.
Brian, I remembered you did the exit press, to be clear, because I actually thought that when I saw Paulie's eyes staring into my soul, like, oh, wow, Brian's going to talk to Paulie Galafiore, but somehow it didn't make the connection.
Yes, and Allie, you're invited too.
It's not really my thing.
Okay. All right.
I like to feel free to say what I want to say and not have to face them to their face afterwards.
No, that's the ultimate rush, where the person that has threatened to kill you, you have to then ask them questions.
Do you even like
living.
the Emoji Movie?
That's living. Okay. All right. Then who's this person?
So
I was like, he's not going to disrespect John A by pronouncing it wrong. So I respect that you were just like, who is this?
Tell me about this person.
So
John A.
your reaction to John A is exactly how John A has kind of become who she is. So in her time on the challenge, she was in a very, very bad relationship with someone named Zach. She was belittled. She was very mistreated. It was horrible for her. She really shrunk as a person.
That's what happened to the Jets.
Exactly. And she got out of that. She came on the Challenge All Stars.
Sorry, that sent me.
She came on the All Stars, a whole new woman. She nearly won that season. She's won the next 2 seasons. And it's a lot of the reasons is because she gets underestimated a lot. She's not the most intimidating figure. She's not the strongest. She's not the fastest, but she's very smart. She's very coy. She knows what she's doing. She can build relationships, and she is very good athletically. So the fact that that's your reaction, that's going to be a lot of the new Big Brother Survivor people's reaction as well. Mm-hmm. And it sets her up very well to go very far and potentially win again. So she can do very, very well once again here.
Okay, Brian, I think we'll be talking about this, assuming John A stays, which I hope she does, a lot of the season, because we last saw John A in 2015 on the challenge proper. Then we've only seen her in All Stars. And I think we've had a lot of discussion. The challenge fandom community has had a lot of discussion about is All Stars the same? Is it as hard? Are you against people of a lesser caliber? Are you doing lesser challenges in a shorter condensed timeline? Is it harder? Is it just as hard? She has won 2 seasons. She has absolutely had no business winning the 3rd season. She should have been the number 1 threat sent out. She is an unbelievable social player and an athlete. Everything Brian said is true. It will be very interesting to see how she fares physically and strategically on the challenge CBS. And to your point, Brian, I know the challenge vets know that John A has kicked ass on All Stars. So I don't know if they're going to be looking at her as a target or if they'll underestimate her because it was in an All Stars format and maybe it's the junior version, even though I don't necessarily think that. Mm-hmm. So I love that John A has stepped out of All Stars and sort of back into whatever this is. And maybe she'll end up on the challenge proper. I'm excited to see it, but I'm not so confident that she has huge win potential in this version. I just don't know.
Okay. All right. Let's see what happens with John A. All right. And then Tori. What's the deal with Tori?
So the deal with Tori, she came on the scene 6 or 7 years ago. She finally got her win last challenge proper season. And she was once the fan favorite of most of the challenge community. And what some people will say is some of that fame has gone to her head.
And not you, though. You're not saying that.
I would never say such a thing. And some would say it's kind of soured her as a person. She's really one of the leading charges of this new group that is afraid to rock the boat in any way. She does it the whole last season of the challenge All Stars, I think it was. She didn't want to vote any of her friends out. It really sunk the season for a lot of people's minds. So it's going to be interesting coming into this season how she'll handle being not around a lot of her core group. There's some of her core group, which will help, but there's a lot of new people. So it's interesting to see if Tori kind of, has some self-reflection and comes in a different person here.
Hold on. The season where she was recently partnered up with Danny in one of the most dysfunctional partnerships to ever hit the challenge. That was All Stars. That was proper, right? No, that was USA. Oh my God. I forgot. We forgot a whole segment of the challenge universe, which was not USA, but the world one.
Oh yeah, the world championship, whatever the heck that was.
Okay, we forgot. That's also okay. Sorry. Whoa, brain blast. If there were 80 different, if you had to cover every world version of the Survivor, you might be confused too. So last season, when we talked about this, there was all of this teeing up of the winners here, or like if you perform well, you'll qualify to like be the best of the best. Here, I think they've already said like you'll be the best American, or I forget what the title is. It's something stupid. It's like the best in America. No talk yet on if there's going to be another next stage. But Tori was on that with Danny, so that's what I'm confusing it with. Danny from Survivor, who won, spoiler alert, season 1 of the Challenge US. And Tori and Danny literally had to vote for themselves at times because they couldn't get on the same page about voting. Tori, Danny, and Sarah had a very contentious relationship as a result. Now, Danny and Sarah don't come back here, but I don't know what Tori's relationship with the survivors will be as a result. I don't know how influential Sarah and Danny are in the survivor the world here, but or if she'll be shell-shocked from having worked with survivors in such a negative way, you know, a month ago, like whenever this film. So it'll be interesting, but she's one of the best female challengers certainly on the block right now, and at this point it's like I'm so used to seeing Tori, it doesn't feel like a season if she's not here.
Okay. All right. And then Wes, of course. Even I know Wes.
Yes, Wes is the Red Sox to Bananas Yankees. They go back way back a ways, as Ali said before. Like they started as enemies, then they became friends. They're sort of like frenemies now. It's kind of unclear what they'll come into as this season. My guess is they'll probably try to work together, and then Wes will try to maybe try to make a move on him too early, and then Bananas will complain. That's like their typical buddy cop situation. But Wes is one of those big names that creates a stamp of legitimacy on the Challenge USA. So it's fun to have him here.
Very exciting. Of course, I know him from the season when Natalie Anderson made the leap over to the Challenge, and then they were partners before Natalie had to ultimately leave. But that was like going to be like an exciting duo between Wes and Natalie. He was kind of like showing Natalie the ropes of how to handle the challenge.
Yeah, Wes likes to do that. I mean, he definitely did that in the challenge season that we can't remember the name because I always spoofed the name. It was like best in the world, best in show. He had a partner, and they were a real highlight for me. I'm a Wes girly, but like their partnership and the way Wes invested his partners nowadays is like.
Is that what you're going to change your bio to on the website?
Wes Gurley? I would love to do that. Delete everything and just replace it with Wes Gurley. That's fine.
You're not a Jersey girl anymore. You're Wes Gurley.
Wes Gurley. But like, I think sometimes Wes makes that position hard. Not that Bananas doesn't, but he can be a bit overproduced, I would say, at times. But he's really great in a mentor role, and he's very strategic and really likes to like make moves and think things through. So I think if it is the format where it's 2 alumni with 4 or however many 6 newbies, like that's a great spot for Wes because that's what he likes to do.
Okay. All right. And that should be the last challenge person. Now, all right, we're going to end on the survivors. All right.
Moment we've all been waiting for.
Let's talk about survivor players. All right. Mother is here. Cassidy.
Did Owen just join the podcast via Rob?
No. Cassidy, that everybody knows, Cassidy is Mother, and she's back. Coming off of a deep run in Survivor 43, ends up being the runner-up of that season. And I feel like that she comes back with like a little bit of a chip on her shoulder.
Yeah, I think she's in a great spot here because she doesn't have a tremendous threat level coming in. I feel like we saw a lot of people in the first season be like, oh, they won. Like, knowing people just based on like their overall stat. Here, I don't think anybody's threatened directly by Cassidy, but I think she's really maybe more made for the challenge than even Survivor. I'm excited to sort of get to know her social side more, hopefully. And I think she has like a tremendous potential to do really well here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Cassidy here because I feel like that she comes in with sort of like a built-in story of that, she went all the way to the end in Survivor 43. She feels like that she should have won. She had a great case as to why she should have won. And now I feel like that she's back, and I don't know from like I haven't seen any footage, but I would imagine she's kind of pissed and she's ready to like
Pissed?
pissed. Yeah. I think that she's here to prove something.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the theme of all the people they picked. They like, as Alex said, a lot of for USA one, it was a lot of winners, people that did very well. There's a lot of runner-ups, people that were out early. There is that sense of like redemption and trying to make your, right or wrong that you might feel you have to undo. So that could be a good spot for Cassidy.
All right, great pick for Cassidy to come back. All right, who else is here? Oh, Chanel is here, and I know I had seen pictures on social media of Chanel like squatting and like doing like deadlifts and stuff like this. So here is Chanel from Survivor 42, and she's here on the challenge. And honestly, I don't know how Chanel's going to be on the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, obviously she's very athletic, so she's not gonna be thought of as like, oh, we need to like help our team get better. We have to get rid of her. I think she's gonna be thought of as one of the stronger women on her team. I think that's gonna give her an immediate leg up as a big plus. So it depends kind of how her social game works, how she's able to branch out to some of the different shows and stuff like that. But I don't see any reason why she can't make a decent run at this.
Yeah, like I'm just like thinking about it now. I know Chanel that she came from like a background of she played like a lot of like ORGs, and I always thought of her as more of like a Survivor person. Like she's like a really hardcore strategist, and I don't know if the physicality was something that just we didn't see on Survivor or something that she ended up training for quite a bit to come out here for the challenge. But I guess like let's see how it goes. This could be a good fit for Chanel.
Definitely not an uncommon storyline too for someone to show. I mean, it seems like she's more physically prepared than a lot of folks, but some people come on the challenge for whatever reason. They underestimate, particularly back in the day, like you underestimate how physical it really is or whatever, and then you really like it, and you have other reasons to be cast, like your drama or your strategic or you're entertaining, and then we see like a physical transformation. So you don't have to show up, yoked. It helps.
Yeah.
That's Tori.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see what happens with Chanel. All right. Then, oh, look at this. I forgot. I know I've seen this cast, and then I forget who's on the challenge. Chris Underwood is here.
Under who?
Yeah, of all the people that they could have got. I mean, this is like, I am so interested to know how do they do this? Like, how do they do the exercise of casting the show? Like, at what point do they get interest from people? Like, are they just like going through a cast list? Like, oh, what about Chris Underwood? Let's call him.
Robbie, generally the mindset of a person who's on Survivor.
Sure.
Yes. Like, how impactful do you think? Like, what's the like thirst to Tyson's impact ratio of like people who want to be on another show, who like it wasn't just Survivor, it wasn't just a one-time experience. They want to keep playing these games or be on television so much that they would like not heed the warning. Like, here's what I'm asking in a terrible way.
Yeah.
Like, do you think anybody that they would have preferred to have was deterred by the reviews of, the bad Yelp reviews of last season's players?
Potentially.
Or no?
Now, look, I don't want to speak too much for Tyson, but that, Tyson is somebody who like, I don't think that he was dying to go on the challenge the first time. And Tyson is, very successful. He has a lot of other interests. He loves spending time with his family. He like did not want to go away from his family for 6 months. I know Chris Underwood has a young baby at home, so I'm not talking about him. But I do think that like for single people who have nothing else going on, like I think it's enticing. It's like, what's the worst that could happen? Everything's not on the up and up. Who cares? I'm on TV. Like, this is great. This is a vacation to whatever exotic locale, and I'm going to be on TV. And, maybe there's a chance I win some money out of this. So I think for a lot of the younger people that it's like, what's the worst case scenario? So I do think it's like a little bit of a different incentive offer than for somebody like Tyson.
And I do. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. I would imagine too that like a lot of people go on Survivor sure want clout and want to be an influencer, but like a lot of people really just want that experience, I imagine. And this is a totally different animal. That said, I don't think the Chris Underwood casting is any less or more random than like what seems like some of the Big Brother casting. Definitely some of the casting we've had in the past. I mean, they've plucked people from obscurity of Geordie Shore and dropped them on the challenge, and they've been like 8-time repeat like stars. So maybe
Sure.
they just see
I'm
something.
happy to see Chris Underwood here. I like Chris Underwood. My interactions with him, he was famously, I was like over exuberant and first one out. Couldn't stop talking about like what's in it for Monica with Josh Wigler. And I think he was like a trendy winner pick in Survivor. The Edge of Extinction, of course, famously went out early in that game, came back and won. Maybe he's got a chip on his shoulder to like, hey, people think I only played 9 days. Well, like you're gonna see, I actually am good. He's like a winner, but people like probably aren't scared about him, and he's probably a pretty good athlete.
Yeah, there's no reason to think he can't do well at some of the stuff that they're going to have to do here. And I think to your point, he also fits that chip on the shoulder, wanted to prove something. So, and he also has $1 million in his pocket, which makes the chip a little bit less weighted. So yeah, I think it's it'll be a lot of fun.
Carolinian, yeah. So yeah. I'm excited to see Chris Underwood back on TV.
No, and I didn't mean to say that at this moment to say what I was saying was about Chris. Like I actually, when I saw this, this cast got like photographed on the flight. So I think like the rumored cast was around for a lot longer than the recent cast announcement. Yeah. And I was like, that's cool and interesting that Chris would do this. Like I like that he's here. And I wasn't upset that he even won that season. So
to go back to your question that you want, do I think any Survivor people potentially said no because of the, what a crap show it was at the end of last season? I don't think so. Well, like I think the same people that said no were probably the same people that would have said no under any circumstances, and the same people who said yes. I don't think we're deterred by it. Like, okay, well, that won't happen to me.
If you're being, I feel like if you're in the position of being asked, it's almost like you're never going to get this chance again at some point. You might as well just like do it when the opportunity is in front of you. So I can't fault anyone for saying yes here.
Yeah.
I think another criticism of last season was that like the money was sort of billed as $500,000 and then it was split between two people and people thought it was a big $500,000 check. I think this season, these people know that there's no sort of misdirect with the money, which I think is good.
Yeah. All right. Well, excited to see Chris Underwood back. And then here's Desi back from last season, of course. That who could forget how things ended for Desi last season, where ultimately she ends up getting eliminated in that very what's the right word for the finale?
Traumatic, devastating, horrifying, shocking.
Yes, all of them, all the words. And so Desi is back with a chance at redemption. Now Desi has not returned to the challenge in any way since Challenge USA 1, right?
No, she is not. But of all the people that most got screwed by the travesty of that final, Desi
finale,
the infamous Desi was, I would say, number one on the list because she didn't even get the chance to quit at the Sudoku puzzle. She was forced to quit because of another Jersey person's actions. So I'm very happy that Desi is getting another shot here. I hope she was like the first call that they made. She could go very far again, and if she gets better partner paired in a final, she could certainly win it for the first time. So that would be great to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was extremely high on Desi's original casting in our podcast we did back in season 1, and I stay high on Desi here. I love seeing her get another chance. I think she probably could have arguably been here regardless of what happened with Enzo, although I think that makes for a more memorable like first package when they're bringing her back. But I think she was really great. It'll be interesting to see where she fits in. She was working with a lot of the Survivor men, none of whom are back. So we'll see how she works the Survivor group that's dominated by women, actually. So finally something in Survivor dominated by women. We love to see it.
Okay. All right. Desi back with a chip on her shoulder, you would imagine. Okay. And here's Michaela. Now, Michaela has been part of the challenge proper before. I know that she had a pretty well-known flame out on a recent season of the challenge. Can you all expand on that a little bit and what her legacy is in the challenge?
Yeah, so a lot of Jersey references. She was also screwed by a revealing note, not unlike Ronnie from the Jersey Shore. If I remember correctly, she was on Spies, Lies, and Allies. She was only on one season, and someone found Brian like a note that had like a couple names on
Like
it that like was
traitors.
potentially like people
They're
thought
pretty
it
much
was like
exactly that. She was
yeah.
she was trying to jot down what I think she thought the alliances were or who was with who. Someone found the note and basically thought it was like who she was going after, who she was targeting, and it kind of just blew up. It snowballed from there. I think it wasn't handled properly from everyone involved, and then I think she was out first week or at the very least second week. So it was a very short stay for her. So I'm glad she's getting her shot at redemption because it's can't get much worse than her first time around.
Yeah, I think the story is she played a little too hard too quick. And when you're a rookie and you're coming in to a season not dominated by rookies like this season is, it's sort of a different environment. It can be tough. They're just looking for a reason to get rid of you. And that's what happened to her. I wasn't sure we'd ever see her again. So I'm very happy to see her here. And I think this is a better spot for her. I think she was close with Michelle on that season. Michelle's here. I think having a few more Survivor people in the mix, more rookies in the mix, will definitely help her out.
Okay, well, I'm excited to see Michaela. It's been a minute since I got to see her since Survivor Game Changers. But let's do it. Okay, all right. And now, of course, Michelle Fitzgerald. Now, I do not know a lot about Michelle's legacy on the challenge. I know she has been back a couple times on the challenge. What's the story of Michelle on the challenge these days?
So she really had her big coming out party last season. She was with Jay. Both of them they won a lot. They were in power a lot. They made, some would say, some questionable decisions when they were in power. They didn't really know how to handle it. They were trying to play basically every side at once, try to keep everyone happy, and ended up blowing up very badly in their face. But they both made a very good impact on the fans. I think a lot of people want to see them back. I think it's fun to see Michelle here. I think she was, just as she was like kind of making herself known in the challenge world, now she's almost coming in as not at the level of like a Fessy vet, but an established vet of a Survivor show coming in here. So I think she has her own relationships that she can parlay, and they'll use, collect some of the new Survivor people. So I'm very excited to see how Michelle handles like this new vetish status that she's going to have coming in here.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think Michelle's had a little bit of like a Charlie Brown trajectory with the show. She can't really get her social footing. I'll say this about Michelle: nobody takes her lumps better. Like every reunion, she shows up and was like, "Yeah, that was a bad move," or like, "This is why I did what I did," and now with further information, maybe it wasn't right. And yeah, like Fessy and I had a thing, whatever. Like
It's a
nobody
common thing
owns
with Fessy,
their
Rob, as you'll
game.
see.
Yeah,
Very common thing.
3 women, I believe that I'm aware of had a thing with Fessel. But I'm a little worried that the Survivor, I don't know how much pre-gaming has been done. I'm sure a ton. I'm sure Wes has called every single person that is on this cast, for one, but certainly amongst the Survivors and Big Brother people themselves. I think Michelle, this could either be her season or she will be a universally agreed upon first target because the Big Brother and Survivor people think she's a threat from the Survivor perspective, and the challenge people don't trust her because she hasn't really gotten great social footing with them. That I think that's a risk for her, that she'll have a high threat level early on. But I think if she can kind of get past that, this could really set her up not only for this season, but returning back to the challenge. She has sort of a chance to make.
Ali, I think this is a really interesting question because last season we saw a lot of like the shows sort of like going after each other. And I do wonder, do we think that like Survivor and Big Brother will go after one another, or will Survivor and Big Brother sort of join forces to take out people from the MTV universe?
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think Love Island was sort of the scapegoat last season, if I remember.
Yes.
Maybe I'm not remembering right. Okay, great. And like they've really eliminated that. So except for the two, like, Are You the One? Not Are You the One? Whoa. Except for the two Amazing Racers, like they kind of can't not go after each other. And again, we just have so much that we don't know, so many unknowns with the team format that maybe you kind of have to turn on your own show in furtherance of your own like team, not show team, but the team you're with.
Okay. All right. And I'm told we have one last survivor, and Sebastian Noel is here. Now, again, I gotta ask, how do we do this? Like, what are we just flipping through a cast list? Like, who calls who? How do we get to Sebastian Noel? Who in my mind this is the most random person that's here out of the whole group. It's not like he played last season. It's like, all right, quick. We need another white guy. Who do we got? Like, how far back do we go to get to? Like, I'm sure a lovely guy, Sebastian Noel.
Thank God we're ending with him and not Wes. Thank God.
Maybe just George Costanza just showed up. He's like, I'm just gonna piggyback in, and maybe I'll just slide in, and maybe no one will notice, and I'll just be there because it is quite odd.
I mean, I could probably give you 40 people off the top of my head.
You would be higher on the list, I would think, than Sebastian.
Did not get a call. Did not get a call. I mean, sometimes I get a phone call that's like from like a 323 area code, and I don't answer it because it's like I don't know you, but. Maybe that was one of them.
Does your heart skip a beat a little? Like, ooh, am I being asked for something? Does you get a little excited when you see that number pop up?
No. I just because I have like it's scam likely usually, but maybe I missed.
And that's when it's a reality TV producer.
That is that ultimate scam likely.
Or Wes.
But yeah, with all due respect to Seabass, this is just so random.
I'll say this. I agree. Obviously, I had the same reaction that you all had, and the listeners probably all have listening to this. But it's not that far out of the realm of like a person they would cast on any of the shows. Like he sort of reminds me of one of the guys from Spain who's been on like the hair, having this sort of like surfer like indie guy who's still athletic though, but not like a jersey yoked guy is definitely something to look for. Yeah, no, I'm thinking of the guy with the long hair. But also he had a willingness to showmance, right? So like even on Survivor,
but not on the show.
But after, I don't know. Obviously I don't really remember much about his game, but I don't think like if he walked into a casting room for like a fresh meat season, I could see them bringing him through. I don't think like his Survivor performance makes the case, but I do think these casting folks look at the person outside of their performance on the show, and that's how they end up with plucking people from seeming obscurity, and they're like, wow, they're actually like pretty good on the challenge.
Here's a quote from Sebastian from Survivor 36.
Is this just like what you do at home though?
This is what I do at home, yeah. So,
it doesn't feel any different.
Normal day for Seb, right? Wait for someone to text me. Beach, ? Stony baloney, eat a bagel, and it's like 11. And that's right when the sun's coming out.
Okay.
Usually the rest of the crew like form a towel colony on the beach like this, play a little beach volleyball, surf a little. This is literally every day, I'm not even kidding. Jenna's a cutie, but she needs a little bit of a wall to lean on, and I think she's kind of choosing me.
Okay. Yes, Stony baloney, grab a bagel.
That had to be 1,000 to 1 odds that clip would ever get played on your podcast ever again. If you
1,000 to 1. I mean, again, like go through the like even Survivor 41, 42, 43, 44. You can read the whole cast list.
How pissed are the Christie brothers that they missed out on the possible CBS casting just by a few years?
They missed it by a few years. I mean, but even from I mean, I guess Survivor 44 they couldn't have gone, but go through the cast of Survivor 43 even. Like Cassidy's here. There was so many people that they could have gone to. Again, maybe Sebastian's going to be great. I'm not picking on Sebastian. It's just random.
No, you are. You are picking on him. Own it. It's fine.
It's fine.
When his picture comes up and you go, now look, who's making these calls? Who calls
I'm so curious, Allie.
It is. It's very odd. I would love to know too. I love that stuff. Give me the
Like,
behind the
does
scenes.
Sebastian like call up and like, hey, like I really want to be on the challenge. You're like, wait till you see, like, I'm a diamond in the rough. Put me out there. And they're like, all right, this kid's got something. Or is there like is Jesse Tannenbaum like, hey, remember Sebastian from Survivor 36?
I mean, if he were calling directly, that would be the most subtle request we've ever seen. Like, frankly, a lot of people tweet, like, put me on the challenge, hashtag the challenge. I'm training to, like, F you up on the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. Looking forward to it.
My contrarian nature now makes me want to stand Sebastian. You're putting me in a weird position.
You have no choice. You have no
Okay.
choice.
I am not anti-Sebastian. If I talk to him on the exit interview, I'm like, oh my God, Sebastian, how have you been? But
he's going to listen to this. The
It is
most
random
obscure
that he's
folks have
here.
the time, and now he's going to deny your interview. And now you're in a tough spot when he wins the challenge.
And he knows it's alphabetical, so he knows to skip all the way to the end. It's easy fine for him.
Mhm.
When
And he'll
Seabass wins
that
the
Survivor
show,
is at the end, Brian.
Alphabetical, obviously.
when he wins and he refuses to talk to either of you, I will do the interview. Okay,
Look,
that's fine.
everybody from that cast loves him. I know he's a nice guy. I just feel like that this was super random. I mean, all right, there you go. There's the challenge. USA season 2.
Woo.
Boy, who will be on Challenge USA season 3? I mean,
will there be a Challenge USA season 3? Is the
I guess
real
we'll
question.
find out. All right. So what's the schedule here? So it's Thursday nights and then when Sunday nights also?
So
After Big Brother?
So I can't quote the times, but it's Thursday, October 10th premiere. Then it's
October
another
10th?
August 10th.
You have us on. Neither of us know when it airs, what network it's on, what we're doing. No, we know it's CBS.
Well, look, there's no times when you watch on Paramount Plus.
Not yet.
P+.
Not yet. Maybe they'll do the extended version of like the uncensored one. That'd be fun. So it's Thursday, August 10th, and then Sunday. The first 3 weeks, Thursday and Sunday, and then August 31st, just Thursdays, and then Thursdays through RHAP.
Really looking for that Big Brother bump.
All right. So look, it's all happening, and basically, you all are the bridge between where we are now and Survivor. You're gonna get us there.
That's what we're here for. We get everyone everywhere. That's what the challenge is there. Challenge, links everything together. So there's usually a challenge always on.
Yeah. All right. Well, this was a great fun. Of course, make sure you subscribe. robswebsite.com/challenge feed for everything. The Challenge USA Season 2. Brian, what's coming up for you?
The Challenge USA Season 2 is what's coming up for me. I'm going to get back into TikTok, so you can follow me there, _Brian_. Also on my Twitter.
Wait, I was not expecting you to drop like a view count on your TikTok. You're like a new David Bloomberg.
I was very proud of it. Okay, it was one of the highlights of my year to have that go viral. So yes, _Brian_, Twitter, TikTok. That's where you can find me.
Okay, all right, and then of course, Allie Lasher. We just talked about Claim to Fame this week, Allie.
Yeah, and
earlier
wearing the
this
same
week.
outfit. I only have one shirt. Actually, sponsored by Akiva. Akiva sent me this shirt, and it's my favorite shirt.
That's his favorite shirt.
It's my favorite shirt too. He ordered me a new one.
Yes, yours is much less worn out than his is. That his looks like it's been through the wash.
I mean, I'll get there. I've only had it for a
100
week.
times. Yeah,
I love this shirt. Thank you to Akiva for sending it to me. I think it's hilarious. Like, I think this is one of the funniest shirts of all time. Maybe that's why Akiva and I get along. If you like this shirt, you'll love New Girl Old Guy. Anchor.fm/New Girl Old Guy. A new episode is dropping this week, Wednesday, or last week, Wednesday. I don't know when this will air. So check it out. We had a really fun episode. I think 40 minutes in, we got to talking about New Girl. So a lot of stuff for me and Akiva to catch up on. It was very exciting. You could follow me at Lash Tweets. Don't follow me at TikTok. Nothing's happening there. And Claim to we covered it. That's it.
Yep.
Subscribe to our podcast. Did we talk about that?
robbinswebsite.com/challenge feed.
The scheduling's gonna be weird. Just subscribe and it'll come when it comes.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for checking out our preview of the Challenge USA season number 2. Of course, check out everything else we're doing with Big Brother and everything else when you go to robbinswebsite.com/subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.